one of the things I like most about him is just the way he's made and how, he's a real balanced horse. He's kind of short back. He seems to outproduce himself as far as, the colts seem to be, have more size, but they have that same kind of, their shoulders balanced with their, their length of their hip and short backed, and that's really probably what makes everything he does very easy, because he's very soft, through the pole and through his body. And I mean, there's times when you school on him or really get him to do some stuff. I mean, it's amazing the different kind of positions his body can get in, because he can really move it around. So with those parts put together, I mean, that just makes every maneuver easy for this horse, because he's really soft and real willing. Those two components really make for a nice horse.
The horse Drake's talking about is the great Hickory Chic Olena. This 1991 sorrel stallion, sired by Smart Chic Olena, has been capturing the attention of the performance horse world due not only to his outstanding pedigree and performance in the show pen, but by the accomplishments of his offspring as well. Hickory Chic Olena has earnings of over $45,000, along with 176.5 AQHA points. He started off his career in 1994 with a top 10 finish at the NRHA Limited Open Futurity. In '95, he was the non-pro champion at the Southwest Futurity and 4th at the AQHA World Show in amateur reining. In 1996, he captured the non-pro reserve championship at the NRHA Derby and was top 10 in AQHA High Point amateur reining, on his way to racking up many AQHA and NRHA championships. As a non-pro horse, Hickory Chic Olena was outstanding, showing all the qualities of an open competitor combined with a calm mind and disposition. His show career was definitely underway.
He didn't really have any shortcomings. I mean, he was really real quiet horse, but explosive. He would, whether you do a big maneuver and just stand there, and then he'd just wait until you told him to do something else. He was shown quite a bit as a younger horse by a non-pro and Richard Berquist, and he did a great job, showing him, and Hickory really did a good job for Richard as far as being able to do those. He could really turn around, really stop, be quiet, be consistent, just keep him out of the penalty box and have a bunch of really good runs.
When Drake took over the reins and moved Hickory into open competition, he continued his winning traditions. In 2003, he was the Rocky Mountain Summerslide Intermediate Open Champion and Saddlesmith Open Reserve Champion. He took home championships in the Intermediate and Open for the Central Montana and Central Plains Reining Horse Associations, and was the NRHA Open Freestyle Reserve Champion.
When I first started showing him, and he hadn't shown in a couple years, and that speaks a lot too because of his longevity. As far as being an older horse and being able to perform at that level. There were several times where I'd show him and just kind of throttle him back a little bit, and just make a nice, quiet, easy run on him. But if you wanted to step him up, you sure could step him up, and he would give it to you. And it was, those years that I showed him there, got lots of, compliments on how great he looked, how, what a nice horse, several times. And it was just a joy to have something, you show up, you're a contender to do some really cool stuff. And I won, quite a bit of stuff on him where I could go and show him kind of soft and easy, maybe an intermediate class, and the next day there's some, tougher horses, so I'd step him up a notch, and he would just give you what you wanted. So it's just really a joy to be around.
With Drake in the saddle, Hickory quickly became a crowd favorite. With his exceptional skill and willingness to do whatever was asked of him, his bridleless reining started becoming one of his trademarks.
It takes kind of a special horse to ride bridleless, especially to try to, stay on your choreography and everything being in timing, but also try to perform, maneuvers at a high degree of difficulty. And, going bridleless just isn't going to score you points. And he was such a neat horse to ride because he was so laid back, so quiet, that if you did, step on him and make him really turn around, it's just a bridle rein, then you just go to lope off, and you just lope off like, well, whatever. And, that's just such a nice thing to have. And so, that to be able to compete at that kind of level, bridleless, music, crowd, and all kinds of, you need a real special kind of horse that's real laid back, but yet explosive and very willing. And it showed with some of the scores I had in the freestyle, and he had several one-type maneuvers, with just a rein around his neck, and his rollbacks were easy. I mean, you didn't really have to set him much for it because that's just something he liked to do and was real good at. And so, it's what reining is willingness to guide. And if you have a nice horse, it's sure neat when it all works out.
Hickory Chic Olena's talent, style, and natural ability was no fluke. His pedigree loaded him with the genetics champions are made from. He's by Smart Chic Olena, a National Reining Horse Association Hall of Fame sire whose offspring have topped the $7 million mark in earnings. Smart Chic Olena's sire is the all-time leading sire of cutters, Smart Little Lena. The combined offspring earnings of these two sires alone is nearing a staggering $40 million and continues to climb every day. His dam is S.R. Hickory Lynn, a daughter of the great Dox Hickory. Dox Hickory is the number 4 all-time leading sire of cutters, and when factoring his offspring earnings in with the top side of his pedigree, you'll see the 3 sires in the first 2 generations of Hickory Chic Olena's family have generated approximately $60 million in earnings. Hickory Chic Olena is truly a product of superior breeding, and by sending your mare to him this breeding season, he can pass these genetics along to your next foal.
Hickory is definitely a sire as far as his colts have the same kind of, trainability that he had, heart and desire. They not only are pretty, and they all are really good lopers. Of course they have a big stop and, plenty of turnaround. But I think the trainability factor is probably the biggest asset that he has. I mean, I've ridden a couple, I've probably ridden several that are out of, different kind of mares, hotter mares, lazier mares or whatever. And I think that you can tell that all the ones that you ride out of him, that have a, he really is a sire, and his sire's, more his traits probably more so than the mare. And, just, all the weanlings and yearlings that we've had, I mean, it's just it's really easy because, you put a halter on them and they're broken a day. And so, it shows his disposition comes through as far as being, really quiet and really trainable. And but then, when you go to ride them, not only they're quiet and laid back, but they're explosive and can do some really, really big time stuff.
Hickory Chic Olena's offspring have been outstanding, and with only 55 performance age foals as of December of 2005, he's had 26 performers, with 22 of them being money earners, including the 2005 National Reining Breeders' Classic non-pro champion, Diamonds for Chick. Ridden by Wendy Latimer, this mare took home both the intermediate and non-pro championships. Top Hickory has earned over $25,000 and 123 AQHA points. Got the Remedy has earned nearly $18,000, and Pep in My Step has taken home over $16,300 and 51.5 AQHA points while being ridden in both open and non-pro competition. Most recently, at the NRCHA World Show, Pep in My Step took third place in the world in the Open 2 rein and was a World Show finalist in the non-pro bridle. Hickory Chic Olena has made his mark as a sire and would be the perfect choice for your mares this breeding season.
There's not a lot of numbers of them out there, but per number that's showing, he has a really good average. As being a sire, I mean, he sired some really nice horses that I've tried some out. I've tried to buy some, and they're tough to buy because when people get them, they're just such a nice horse. The same kind of description I gave about him. Just the way he has that nice little, rocking pony horse lope, and they're soft in the bridle, and so that helps with the longevity of a non-pro trying to show a horse, is that they have those kind of qualities, not only physically talented, but the quiet mind and the willing to work and being soft, and so they're so the ones that are out there have all been pretty darn good. Anybody can get on them and ride them, and you can either step them up and be an open kind of horse, or they're definitely going to be pretty easy for a non-pro to to ride as a young horse, or the aged events.
One of the qualities Drake mentions is that of longevity, an incredibly important trait in today's competitive world. In 2004, at 13 years of age, Hickory was the National Western Stock Show Freestyle Reining Champion while being ridden bridleless, the Rocky Mountain Summer Slide Open Reserve Champion, the Central Plains Sandhill Slide NRHA Open Reserve Champion, and AQHA Open Champion. He qualified for the AQHA World Show and was the 2004 All-American Quarter Horse Congress Open Reserve Champion in senior reining. All of this while competing as a 13-year-old super senior.
The harder you ran him, just the deeper he got in the ground. But no matter how he got to the ground, how he got going there, he was just always really free and really good in front. Real pretty, I mean, if you're going slow, and like when I just kind of cruise on him, I mean, it's still really plus those maneuvers just because he got in the ground so deep and then was just so good with his front end. And so when you really stepped him up, he had some pretty amazing stops. I know there's a couple freestyles I showed him in where, I mean, he was flat running as hard as you could run one, and I mean, he got in the ground so pretty and good in the front end. And
thank you, Hickory Chic Olena and Drake Johnson.
Not only did he get deep and dynamic, but he was just, real pretty with his front end, and, just real soft in the face. And he'd make that big stop, and then, going to it that hard, and you pick your hand up and go to roll back, I mean, you better be ready, because he would really crack a roll back.
Hickory Chic Olena is a stallion with outstanding pedigree and disposition. He's proven himself in the show pen, and his offspring are following in the same footsteps. When it comes time to choose a stallion this season, look no farther than Hickory Chic Olena.